What is up, everybody? Everybody, what is up? Just finishing getting prepared here, getting on my you know like on Stallone with over the top.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to turn before before a big arm wrestling match. He's got to turn his head around backwards.
Mm-hmm.
Before a big show, I got to get my fighting gloves.
Like that.
So,
Yeah.
um, tonight we got Eric here joining me from Hey Internet. Eric here.
Glad to be here, man.
Cool, much appreciated. And we are here to do. Where is it? Come on. Friday the 13th, the greatest horror franchise ever with a question mark. That'll be what we will be discussing, along with also with a lot of our favorite different categories throughout
Mm-hmm.
the franchise. So sounds cool, man. So,
Happy to be here, man. Especially, I love it when the stars align. I can actually join on camera. It's always a good time.
Hell yeah. Got Ninja here saying, hey,
Hey,
how's it
Ninja.
going? Happy Friday the 13th, everybody.
Yeah, is it still Friday the 13th over there, Ninja? I'm not sure. I don't know if he's ahead or if he's behind us.
He's earlier, I do believe.
Is he?
Or maybe he might be earlier. Are you AM or PM right now, Mr. All
right.
Interesting categories.
Okay.
I'm not sure even where to start on this, man. I guess we could start on. I'm sure we've discussed it before, but when was the first time you ever seen a Friday the 13th movie? When did you know this was your favorite franchise?
Oh, I really got into it. I posted it on Twitter. Like, I'd seen clips of it as a little kid. I've seen the clips of Jason coming out of the lake to get Alice at the end of part 1. I'd seen bits and pieces of part 6, like my dad or mom was watching it, because I remember the James Bond shit, you know what I mean, from the beginning. But when I really became a fan, I'm trying to think of how old I was. It was very early 90s. So I was, let's say, around 10, you know what I mean? And it was the USA Network, because every fucking Friday the 13th, they would do those marathons. And I just shared it on Twitter. Someone uploaded one of those actual commercials, and they would always play like parts 1, 2, and 3, and they would always skip 4, and then they would play like 5, 6, and 7, and I would be glued to the fucking TV. And eventually, back in the day, my dad knew how to hook TVs from one room to another room, so I didn't have cable in my bedroom, but he was able to get TV, cable from his room into my room, so I was able to record that stuff, off of USA.
Was that adapter, man, and it had like 2 plugs here and 1 here, so you could take the main input and plug it here, and you could have 2 more going from this bedroom and that bedroom.
And then what I did is, it was also when I was big into, like, because me, I'm a wrestling fan too. Tape trading was huge, so I would also have 2 VCRs on top of that. So I would record that and then make copies of that for my friends, and we would just, because we're 10 years old, we're not supposed to be watching that shit, right? My parents didn't care, so also it's USA, so the nudity and the violence is edited at the time. But I would take those and I'd be giving them to my friends to watch so they can watch it at home and stuff like that too. So I think the first major one I saw at that age, due to those marathons, was probably part 2.
Cool.
But it was around that time, around that age, is when I became a fan, and I always looked forward to those USA Network marathons. And then eventually it went to Joe Bob. He had Monster Vision, and eventually he would have his marathon.
That captain dude too. Remember the captain guy, the captain whatever, Captain USA from USA Network. Remember he dressed up kind of like a superhero, and he's this goofy guy with a mustache. He kind of come off like Mr. Terrific on that episode of the Golden Girls. That's kind of how he.
The USA, I just remember Up All Night with Rhonda Shear and Gilbert Gottfried. But I don't remember.
That was a little later. We're talking earlier, I guess.
No, that way before my time. You're not too much older than me.
Just enough for a lot of hosts to come in and out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My introduction. Excuse me, too many. Well, my introduction started early. My introduction actually started because of Halloween. For the same reason that the first film was made. It was a rip-off with Halloween.
Mhm.
Well, I seen it on HBO in about '79 when it came out. Of course, it was released in '78. Well, in 1980, I was so in to Halloween and different killer shows that were coming out and everything that I liked that my mom took me to see the very first Friday the 13th at the theater. I think it was June 15th, 1980.
Mhm.
And she took me to that one. And then every year I went and seen it all the way up to Takes Manhattan. Every single one of them I went and seen it.
Oh wow. Was
So,
your mom into horror too, or was she just taking you because you liked horror?
oh yeah, she was why I got into it, man.
Yeah.
She's why I seen Exorcist at 5, 6 years old. You
Same
know what I
here.
mean?
Same here. I was in elementary school, and of course it was USA, of course, edited version because of all the shit that they cut out. But she was saying you got to watch this, and I became hooked. I think The Exorcist is probably the first horror movie I ever saw from edited, but from beginning to end. It's because my mom loved horror. My dad was a sci-fi guy. My mom was the horror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember seeing Night of the Living Dead, um, uh, The Exorcist, and then Halloween, and then The Shining, and things like that, and Friday 13th and stuff like
Mhm.
that. But yeah, every year I look forward to catching the new one, and like clockwork, every year for the longest time they'd come out with the new one, at least throughout the Paramount years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, I got lots of pictures to put on here for visual display. Now, some of these categories I can't. You'll have to get a. I'll be able to put up a pic,
Mhm.
but you won't be able to. Unfortunately, we won't get the pics that we want to see because. But
Okay.
we'll get the idea,
Okay.
and we'll know who it is. Um, is Friday the 13th the best horror franchise of all time?
I mean, I don't know. For me personally, I think it's neck and neck with the Nightmare on Elm Street series. I prefer it over Halloween because there are Halloween films I do not like. There is
Yeah.
not a Friday the 13th film that I don't enjoy in some capacity. I would put it over that. I would put it over probably the Texas Chainsaw Massacre series. Um, like I said, I put it over Halloween. But then what other major franchise? It's definitely, in my opinion, I put it over Child's Play. I would probably put it over Saw. So, I would say it's probably, if we take Nightmare on Elm Street out of it, because like I said, that's neck and neck. I would have to say it probably is my favorite franchise.
Yeah, there's several nightmares. I'm with a lot of the nightmare sequels, like I am the Halloween sequels.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Friday the 13th sequels. There's only one Friday the 13th movie, and that's including X, and that is including Jason versus Freddy.
Mm-hmm.
That I do not like,
Mm-hmm.
and that is Goes to Hell. I do not like that
Oh,
movie. I've tried to watch that so many times, and I just can't get through it, man. I
yeah.
just can't. I just can't do it. And I think it's got a lot to do with the first 5 or 10 minutes of it. Watching
Okay.
him get blown to pieces is kind of like watching Michael Myers become fucking ground beef for me.
Well, I'll save my opinion for Goes to Hell when we get to the categories.
Hey, hey,
We'll leave it at that. But
that's
I'm
all
trying to
good,
think.
man.
Yeah, it's just a fun franchise, and what I love about it, I mean, yes, it's got as a red-blooded American male, we love our TNA, we love our gore, we love our violence. It's got all that, but a lot of it is it's a lot of fun. We have
Yeah,
with what I love about Jason is, and Michael, he's pretty one note for the most part. Leatherface, pretty one note. Freddy is creative, so is Jason. That's what I like about it is the creativity because as the movies went on, you want to know what's this fucker going to do next. You know
yeah.
what I mean? And that
What
anticipation.
kind of big kill are you gonna get? Are you gonna somebody slammed against a tree in a fucking sleeping bag, or are
Hmm.
you gonna get someone chopped in half while they're doing a hand walk? I mean, you never
Hmm.
know what you're gonna get.
Exactly.
Or is he gonna stand across part of the lake and shoot a dart gun? You know what I mean? A spear gun in
Or
somebody's
is he
eye.
going to get a fucking tree trimming saw and cut your guts out? You know what I mean? Bad news cruise.
Yeah,
Exactly. See, that's what I'm saying.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's what made it fun.
The
That's
most
what made
consistent
it fun.
franchise by far. The most consistent. You know what you're gonna get, and you're going to get it. I think
Hmm.
that's my one problem with Part 9 is you don't get it quite like that, like you do the others.
Okay.
And a lot of the characters are really over the top in it. It's just I don't know.
Hmm.
But it is the most consistent, and in my opinion, the best horror franchise.
Well, I did say that because shameless plug. I just uploaded my Two Bearded Losers episode. We discussed part 5. I uploaded that today, and we mentioned that even though the timeline is pretty fucked, it's still
Right.
pretty consistent with characters. You know what I mean? Returning characters, returning themes, and stuff like that. So it's pretty good with that. When you look at the other shit like Halloween, that timeline don't even get started on that. Don't even get started on Chainsaw and all that stuff. You know what I mean?
And the way the teenagers act and the way they dress, they're pretty smart with that for the most part. It's the way that they would be dressed or whatever at any time. Now the hairstyles that might be something different, but I mean it's pretty consistent in that way too. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You know, everything you love it for, it's consistent in. You know what I mean? Now I'm a debate on what I think is scarier between Pamela and Jason. Because I think Pamela's much more frightening because she comes off like real as fuck. And if I ran into her, I'd had to club the shit out of her and run like a motherfucker. But you know what I mean? Of course, we did a whole show on whether she was horror's greatest mother.
Yeah.
You know, we decided absolutely she was.
Yeah, and the main reason why is, like every good villain, they're doing what they think they're doing because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah,
she lost her baby. It was the only thing that mattered to her in her life, and she didn't want others to go through that pain, even though the way she did it was a little unethical. You know what I mean? But you believed her, you felt for her, and just Betsy Palmer was truly terrifying.
Yes.
Not just of the physicality, because she beat the shit out of Adrian King on that beach.
The paintbrush and everything else.
Those were real slaps. She was really slamming her head into the fucking sand. But it was also her eyes. She's got them evil eyes. She's got that scary grin. You know what I mean?
My favorite look is when she knocks a hole in the door and sees her.
And she does that little
in the pantry. She looks in and she goes,
"Yeah." She's like, "I got you now." Yeah, I got you now. You know what I mean? And the thing is, you know,
didn't kill her. She goes in and beats her ass instead.
And the thing is, I guarantee you, Sean Cunningham, because again, he's fully admitted that Friday the 13th was a ripoff of Halloween. I guarantee you that scene was a ripoff of Kubrick's. Well, I don't know. I was going to say it could have been a ripoff of Kubrick's The Shining, but they both came out in 1980. So I'm going to take that away. But what I was saying is you can compare that to Kubrick's, you know, Here's Johnny. But I liked her because it wasn't comedic. It was menacing. And it's like cat and mouse. You know what I mean? The cat is done playing with the mouse. Now it's going to get it.
She beat her ass. She was tired of it. I think, see, at first she was just going to kill her. I think she started slapping her around just out of pure frustration. But you know what I mean? All right. Well, let me see. Which question should we start with first? Give me. Oh shit! I got a whole line of them here, man. Give me your favorite Jason look. What do you think? And that includes all the different, because you know, contrary to popular belief, all the different Jason masks aren't exactly the same either, and it kind of takes a different effect with each actor that's playing it.
My favorite look is I love. You know, you've already talked about you don't enjoy the movie. I love the look of Jason Goes to Hell. Okay. The reason why is I love how now the mask has become physically has become part of him. His skin is now starting to grow over the fucking thing. You know what I mean? There's no way he can take that off. His clothes kind of harkens back to me like a little bit of like the hillbilly days. You know what I mean? The early days. So I kind of like that. But I also like how he now has little tufts of hair that you can see in the moonlight. You have to pay attention to it in the moonlight. So that's what I love. It's mainly due to the fact that the mask has now literally become a part of him, because now, you know, it's so iconic to him. So that's what I'm going to go with.
All right. My favorite Jason look is the sack head. For some reason, I love that. I think it's so creepy. I love how it only has one hole in it for just one eye he can use. It takes you back to the Phantom Killer of Texarkana back in the 50s. You know what I mean? And I just think that is so much scarier. You know what I mean? It could be just because the hockey mask was used for so long, so much. You know, that could have something to do with it. That's my favorite.
I agree with you because what I like about that is first he's wearing just normal country clothes. You know what I mean? He's living out in the fucking woods. But what I like about the I don't know if it's a pillowcase or a potato sack or whatever it is. Either way,
Yeah.
he he doesn't wear that shit out at home when he's in his shack. He wears it when he goes out in the public. It's just literally something he has at home that he just cut an eye hole in it, put it on, and that's it. Homemade. And that what I think is more scary to me
Yeah.
than just finding a fucking mask.
And does he care if they see him, or I mean, does he care if he's identified, or is he ashamed of what he looks like? You know what I mean? That's an interesting thought. You know, that's something that struck me earlier. I was like, is he more worried about that or that?
Well, I don't.
Huge.
It makes you think because you think about it, like he never really goes out in public. You know, he lives like in the fucking woods. You remember how long the fucking cop had to chase him in part two to get to his shack. I think he just wears it because he's ashamed of the way he looks. Because obviously he's seen his reflection in the water. He knows what normal people look like. Because remember, whether he drowned and came back to life, whether he never drowned and he grew up, he was 11 roughly when he drowned, give or take. I'm not entirely sure about his age, but
10 or so, yeah.
He knows what air quotes normal people look like. So he was always teased, always made fun of. The only one that ever gave a shit about him and didn't look at him as an ugly kid was Mama.
Yeah.
So it's definitely personal. He covers it up because he doesn't want to look at himself.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I right down to it, he doesn't care what they think of what he looks like because they're not going to see him enough.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when he goes by something, sees reflection, he wants to see that, not his face. Contrary to popular belief, Jason's not. He's not slow or anything like that. He just,
He is not. I've always said this. I've never thought Jason was mentally handicapped. Tom Savini himself has said he's hydrocephalic. That's not mental handicap. That's just the way his skull formed. Kind of like
not able to drain back out.
Yeah, like Rocky Dennis in Mask. It's just the way the bones were made, the calcium and stuff like that. I never thought he was mentally handicapped because if you think about it, he's very smart. He's very ingenuitive. He's crafty. He plans shit out. He's been surviving in the woods for however long he's been surviving. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just think he was just honestly a deformed kid. Like a child. I hate to say it in this way, but like it was a birth defect. You know what I mean?
Right. Ninja in the chat. What's up, Ninja? I'm a huge fan of part 6. I found part 6 and part 4 are people's 2 favorites, but I also like 4 and 7, Jason Goes to Hell, Jason X, and the remake. So you just like to use some Friday 13th, Ninja. Awesome. Glad you're here, man. He says Matt is his least favorite. That's a lot of people's least favorite. I think it's that fucking ending. I that could be another category I could put on here. Best ending, but that'd be hard. Yeah. All right. What's your favorite makeup for Jason?
Ooh,
because he looks different in every movie too. That was a tough one for me.
Okay, like I said, makeup is different. So we're just talking face, like maskless.
Yeah, the prosthetics and all that shit. Yeah.
I'm gonna go. Obviously, I'm gonna go with New Blood. John Carl Buechler, I thought was amazing in New Blood with the makeup effects because, and mainly we'll focus on the face, but just he added the rot. You know what I mean to him because he's been in that lake for, again, we don't know the timeline's so skewed, but we don't know how long he's been in that fucking lake between 6 and 7 exactly.
Yeah,
you got the rot, but he's also really good with the continuity. He's still got the axe wound, but he's also got the final chapter wound on the side going into the eye. You know what I mean? The part of the jaw that's gone, so you got more of the teeth exposed. You know what I mean? How he's like a dark color because he's been rotting. Fish have been feeding off of him. You know what I mean? It's just an amazing makeup effects job.
Absolutely. Even the ones with Savini, you know what I mean? And Savini didn't even do that.
Mm-hmm.
But my favorite is the last one Savini did do. You got the hand there, and
Mm-hmm.
you got that face. I love that because I love how he reached back, he grabbed the original look for Jason,
Mm-hmm.
makes it different. Part two, how the two different sides of the face are two different faces,
Mm-hmm.
and then yet added some wear and tear to it, some beating to it.
Mm-hmm.
So the part four makeup is my favorite.
Yeah. Yeah. And what I like about part 4 is his jaw sticks out a little bit, kind of like a bulldog. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
It doesn't
kind
fit
of
right.
tucks inside. It's like
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
where you can just see just some bottom teeth. Like you can tell he's just fucked up.
He's been fucked up. Yeah.
That well, I don't know. I guess on top of that, I can just say right now that I. It's so hard to pick a favorite kill from Friday the 13th.
It is.
But I have to say that the first actual death of Jason is probably my favorite kill. The way he hollers, the way he lands on that machete and it slides up his head, and you can see the eyebrow going up and down, everything. That
The sound you hear that
yeah,
as he's sliding down.
oh,
Yeah. Well, you watched it. You saw. I did my Bloody Sunday, and for my Friday the 30th, I did his death, and it is an amazing death. It's great. I mean, even when you get that quick shot of the blade going to the side of his face, and you get that blood shooting out, you got to pay attention to it, but you can see the blood shooting out. My favorite kill, we're gonna go back to your little redheaded stepchild part 9, is in the uncut version, the woman in the tent. She's riding her boyfriend, and then you got Jason. He's possessed the corner. He gets that railroad spike, that tent spike, and he impales her. So you got the spike coming out of her, and she's spitting up blood. And then he doesn't just impale her; he lifts that fucking thing up, and her body literally goes splits in half.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
You gotta see that, and it's only in the unrated cut, obviously, because the MPAA suck. But it's not just that; it's K&B. You know what I mean? So K&B knows what they're doing, even in '93. Right. And then you have that great shot from behind the body, and you're looking down at the boyfriend. So he's got his ripped in half girl straddling him, and the blood is just shooting on him as it's happening. It's so vicious and so nasty and so like wet and disgusting. And as a runner-up, I gotta say I also love the frozen head smash from Jason X. Never been done before. God, yes. And I love it because it's quick. She's screaming, her face freezes, and suddenly it's just boom. He lifts her back up, throws her down, goes about his business.
Here, let me find the prelude. I couldn't find a picture of it, but let me find the prelude into one of my favorite kills here. And it comes from part 3.
Okay.
See if you recognize it.
Yeah. The handstand.
Yes. That was the first one of its kind like that.
I would have loved to have seen that in 3D. I would have loved to have seen that in 3D.
Absolutely awesome. I seen it in 3D, and what they call it there, they call it Super 3D.
Super 3D.
Part 3 in Super 3D.
That would have been.
It was awesome. It was the shit. Now I'm gonna get a little bit. I'm gonna get a little bit dirty, guys.
No.
Not dirty, but we're going to talk about some favorite things here.
Okay.
You talk about Friday the 13th thing, you've got to involve a little bit of it. And I want to start with favorite boobs.
Oh.
Now, I'm not trying to be misogynistic. I just like boobs.
No, there's not. Hey, there's nothing misogynistic. Who doesn't like a good pair of boobs? No pun intended. The first one that pops to my mind is Deborah Sue Voorhees right there, number 5. And
agreed.
The characters in part 5 aren't that great, but you know what? She makes up for it in kind. I'll leave it at that.
She absolutely does. Yes.
She got fired from her teaching job because her students found out she was in part 5, and they were trading her pictures around, like screen caps and stuff like that, and they fired her because of something she did 25 years ago. It's not like she did fucking porn, you know what I mean? She was
Right.
topless in a Jason movie.
I was watching something the other night. I watched the one that I did the other night. I can't remember which one it was, but the girl was in it, and she got fired from her job. You see, I'm trying to think of the ones I've done the last few days here. I've been doing lots of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'll
take your time, dude. It's fine.
Trying to think of this, but yeah, it's very who it was. I got this thing full of stuff here, so I may never find it. I'll come back to it later on.
Sure.
Okay, now then let's go to the next body part.
Oh, jeez.
This is my favorite ass of the Friday the 13th.
Yeah,
That's not even a great picture of it, and it's still fantastic.
Terry was good. I was more of a Vicky guy myself.
Vicky,
from part 2.
Vicky was cool too.
Yes. Yeah, I was.
You didn't see her butt quite as good.
You didn't, but you know what I liked about what helped you. You saw enough of it, in my opinion, because she was changing to get with Mark. What I liked about her is I'm a sucker for a girl next door. Terry to me is like the unattainable. She's hot as shit, but Vicky's the girl you bring home to mom. She's the one that you've known your whole life, and then you can finally have a chance with her. That's what helps me with her. But I can't deny Terry is good though. But I was a Vicky guy.
Man, it was
But if we're going to pick, I'm going to say my favorite was Sandra from part 7, the one who goes skinny dipping and is pulled underwater.
Mm-hmm.
She's my favorite of that.
I almost talked about best boobs being Sandra from part 2, but then I found out she was 17 when she made that.
Yeah. Oh, I think she was younger than that. I heard she was like 15, and they had to destroy, and they didn't know. They didn't know.
I heard because she was 17, and like, oh God, don't tell me she's 15. That really makes me feel better.
Well, I could be wrong, but either way, because they did film a topless scene, and then they found out she was underage, so they had to destroy all that footage.
Oh my God.
They are so fucking lucky.
Ninja says part 4 Jason pretty good, a more down to earth Jason. The whole movie is really good and a great ending to the normal Jason.
Mm-hmm.
That is just I'll get into part 4. I'll get into part 4 several times here because it makes up my list in several different occasions. It's definitely and I'll say why I don't want to go ahead and say why because I'd give it away.
Sure.
Ninja's favorite's the sleeping bag kill. Now, which one? Now, are we talking about the one in Jason X where they keep laughing and shit?
I'm going to assume he's going to say 7.
Right.
But you know what I like?
Oh, or 7. Yep.
In this is the one time where I think the MPAA did the right choice. You see the uncut version when he's bashing the girl. He bashes her like 4 or 5 times and the blood shoots out. I like the cut version. One and done. You know what I mean? It's more impactful, no pun intended, and it's more brutal in my opinion. It's just boom, throws her down, just like the face smash, and he goes about his business.
Yeah, that's just my opinion. Really shows some serious anger, which is something he wasn't really known for, showing a lot of emotion.
He did a lot of that in 7. Like I love when the mask comes off, and he looks at Tina and Nick, and he just, he's huffing and puffing. And then when he finally gets up, when they're all in the cellar, he gets up and he looks at them, and he still got that cord around his neck, that she was strangling. And he pulls that off and he throws it on the ground. He's like, okay, you guys done fucked up now. I'm really going to hurt you. You know what I mean?
He never had his ass handed to him like that before. You know what I mean? So it's like he didn't understand it. And when she split his mask right down the middle, he was like, what the fuck? And then the floor swallows him up. It's just, yeah. All right. This is a big debate. Who is your favorite Jason actor?
Actor as Jason or just character? Anybody?
Your favorite actor that plays Jason?
Ted White. That's an easy one. Ted White. I love. Brooker was vicious. I think Ted just raised it up a little bit more, and I think it has to do with the fact that he didn't really get along with Corey Feldman. on the set. But again, Ted White's was in his fucking 50s and 60s, and Corey was what, 10? So he was just annoyed by Corey. Corey was a 10-year-old kid. And that kind of helped the performance, in my opinion, when he's jumping through the window, when he kicks down that fucking door and he throws like that hammer at Trish. So I got to go with Ted White. But you said Brooker. Brooker's a good choice too.
Yeah, he's my friend. I do like Ted White though. He would definitely be my number 2. The best looking. I don't mean sexually in any way like that. The best looking final girl that ever existed.
Oh, shit. That's tough.
Mine was so tough. I had to pick 2.
Because see, there isn't a bad looking final girl. Jason X, she was gorgeous.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I even though her character sucked, part 8, she was really pretty. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's very, very tough. Shit. You know what? I'm gonna say tie between Jason X and Takes Manhattan.
Okay. Mine is gonna be a tie from Chris from part 3.
Yeah, she was super pretty too.
And Megan from part 6.
Yeah, see what I mean? How it's so hard? Yeah. Because those women are super pretty too.
And I love I don't like the Chris character so much. I thought Dana Kimball that played Chris, I thought she was a weakness of the show. I don't think her acting was all that great. Mm-hmm. But the chick that played Megan, I thought she did a good job, and I thought there was a really good character arc in it too. You know what I mean?
She was fun. You know what I mean? Yeah. She had some good moments too, like the scene where she's the one. She does a lot of the work. She does, in my opinion, I think she does a lot more work than Tommy does in part 6. And I think people overlook that because everyone loves Tommy Jarvis. She's the one driving the getaway car. She's the one taking care of the kids. She's the one that kills the fucker. You know what I mean? She saves Tommy. She does a lot more than she gets credit for.
Tommy wouldn't even have got out of the cell if it wasn't for her. Jason would have been around killing everybody while Tommy just sit there not being able to do shit.
Exactly.
So she is the prelude to the whole stopping of Jason all the way to all those years later to part 7 when he's under the water. Mm-hmm. So it's like, definitely. And she has this cuteness about her, man, that is just so uncanny. And it's not beauty; it's just overwhelmingly cute.
Well, you know what, and that's right. One of the cutest things she does to add to it is like, I like this scene. Like, I hate Court. Court, like, I don't know if we have worse characters or whatever. Court, I can't fucking stand when he's taking the boys to go, hunting or whatever the fuck he's trying to do. I like when Megan and Sissy are trying to entertain the girls. Are we going to have fun today? Are we going to do this? They don't know what the fuck they're doing. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that adds to the likability factor. It's like if you or I were thrown into this, we have to take care of all these kids and we have no clue what we're doing. It adds to the sweetness of her character. And Sissy was a looker too. I liked her in part 6 as well.
Talk about some other good kills. You got the classic ending of Kevin Bacon.
Yep. And I love how that was completely by accident, the blood spurt.
You got poor Mark.
Yeah.
you said that so sad. It's like, yeah. Poor Phil. I mean, you have some genuine sadness on that. It's like, because it's so tragic. Because the guy was in a wheelchair here. You know what I mean? You could tell he had big sports aspirations before he got put in a chair. Mm-hmm. He was going to get laid, and then not even the sharp part of the machete, but the dull part of the machete goes across his face and sticks there. Now that's a hell of a swing of a machete.
And see, that's the thing about it is we're going to be watching part 2 later. Is those characters are just so goddamn likable. You know what I mean? And Mark was like your buddy. He was. You know what I mean? He didn't use, what I liked is he didn't use the chair as an excuse. Vicky's going to push him up to the meeting. No, I got it. Stuff like that. He didn't let it hinder him because, the whole doctors think it's permanent. I don't. You know what I mean? So and it's not hammy. You know what I mean? It's not over the top and cheesy. You just the way the guy said it. You know, you liked Mark.
He had no ego because even though he was dominating and he was embarrassing every dude he arm wrestled with, you didn't see him talking a lot of shit. You didn't see him in the face.
Yeah.
Just no ego on the guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it just a lot of very likable characters in that one and in part 4. That's the two that's got so much likable characters.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a category coming up.
Okay.
Who got killed too early? You wanted to see much more from.
Oh, that's tough. Like we were just talking about Mark, but Mark made it pretty close to the end. He made it till about the third act. That's tough. That really is tough because a lot of my favorite characters usually make it towards the end. I don't know. I might have to come back on that one. That one's tough. Unless you already got your answer. You go ahead and give your answer and I'll think about it.
Mine is Annie. First 10, 15 minutes of the original Friday the 13th. I loved her. She was so cool. She wanted to do it for the kids. She just wanted to be in, you know what I mean? And she was so adorable. I would have loved to have seen her be the final girl of that movie. I think she could have pulled it off, man. Or at least give her a little bit more time there. You know what I mean? I thought it was such an injustice. She was so cute, she was so sweet, so nice.
You know what? I'm going to go with her too, because that's the thing. She wasn't a character that just showed up and died. She was a character that had the personality.
Yeah, she was just trying to get there, man.
Yeah, yeah, and like you know, you can tell she's a good person. She walks up to a stray dog and starts petting it and all that stuff. And like I like how she doesn't believe any of the bullshit. Like she's kind of giving Enos some shit, like in the Jeep ride and stuff like that. But yeah, she was very likable.
She didn't even like the kids being referred to as kids because their minds were little goats. She said, you know what I mean? And she was just so likable. I would have liked to have at least to see her around the middle of the second act, at least.
Yeah. She could have made it up to like when Brenda got killed in the archery range or something like that.
She could have even replaced one of them. You know what I mean? Throughout there, because there's a lot of throwaways in the original Friday the 13th movie.
I didn't give a shit about Ned. He was just there to be the comic relief. He had like one funny joke. I laughed one time with Ned. I like when, you know, he's it's the sit on it, Tonto. You know what I see? It's not that. I don't really give a shit about that. I like when he says, well, there's no crazy people here. You know, I get a kick out of that. You know, when they're talking about Ralph. But other than that, he's just there to be kind of annoying. And because he's trying to impress Brenda. You know what I mean? Because he's got the hots for Brenda. You can tell, you know, when he's like picking on Jack, he's like, oh, I know how to do the emergency generator, that type of stuff. He's just there to be there.
Something I said in the Watch Friday 13th last week, a week ago when I did Friday 13th, is the first time he was shooting that bow and arrow, old dude was shooting that bow and arrow like that and came that far from me when I was up there by that target. That would have been sticking out of his ass.
I would have beat the fucking shit out of him.
He'd have been wearing all those arrows. He would look like a turkey because they'd all been sticking out of his, you know what I mean?
All it takes is like a half an inch and she would have had it in her gut.
Yeah. And that ain't no way to fuck around. I mean, that's just some dumb shit. But yeah, Ned was annoying, and then you got Bing Crosby's kid. He wasn't all that important either. You had people you could have done without, but Annie could have fit really nicely in.
Yeah, Annie would have fit real nicely if she had interaction with Alice. I think her and Marcy would have been a hoot.
Oh, Perky,
you know, would have been, Perky. You call her Perky. Yeah, I think they would have been fun together.
She also has the best sex noises I've ever heard. Does she not? Does she not?
Yeah, they're very good. They're very good.
They're extremely. I can't. Hey, I probably just start going another direction. Okay. Now we're just talking about this, and we're going to have to choose one or the other.
Okay.
Who has the best characters of the film? You want to pick one film? Who has the best cast? And I don't mean the actors, I mean the characters. Or you can say the characters that are portrayed by the actor. You know what I mean? The ones done the best.
Like, who has like the best like group of characters overall?
What group of kids do you like the best? Who is the best? Who seems the most natural? Who makes it feel real for you?
Part 2. Gotta go part 2. Barely edging out the final chapter. It's between those, but I think part 2 does. You know, these feel more like my friends from high school, you know what I mean? Or a little bit older.
Yeah.
You know, I could just hang with them, bullshit. Because as much as I do enjoy the final chapter group, they're just there to party and get drunk and get laid, you know what I mean? So part 2 seems more fun, more relaxed, you know what I mean? These are the guys I would go hang out with on a weekend and probably not eventually get annoyed. You know, okay, you know what the clincher is? Why is part 2 over part 4? Because part 4 has Teddy, and I can't fucking stand Teddy. Teddy Bear. I can't stand Teddy. He would be that friend that eventually, if I'm staying with over the weekend, I want him to shut the fuck up. I would end up not talking to him for like 2 hours because he's just annoying the piss out of me. And again, that's why he's the only one left watching the fucking Stag film, and everyone else is trying to go get laid because they can't stand Teddy. You know what I mean?
Also from Mask. He played a small part in Mask, and he was also in the Last American Version.
Yep, I really liked him as Rocky's friend in Mask.
Version.
Yep.
But yeah, I would have to go the opposite.
Okay.
Even though there's Teddy, I just count him. He's just one of those guys you just kind of go, well, that's
Yeah, because in all fairness, part two had
he puts it over for me. That dance that was supposed to be to AC/DC's Back in Black.
Right.
So, but instead of being no way, you know.
And you know me, I love Crispin. I'll watch anything with that man.
Fantastic.
And in defense, you know, there is a Teddy type character in part 2. The only guy that fucking survives because he stays at the bar. You know what I mean? But I think he's toned down a little bit as Ted's just a little bit more like the guy from part 2 is a dork. Yeah. But he's not annoying. I thought Teddy was annoying.
I think what puts it over for me for part 4 is, even though they're both great kids, they're both great cast of kids, they're both great casting and actors playing. I think maybe part 4 might be just a small notch acting skill wise over 2.
I can definitely give you that. Plus,
as a whole,
part 4 also had the Jarvis family, and that is a really good. Those 3 together were really good.
Oh, that family is fantastic. My son, my 15-year-old, and I watched part 4 earlier today before we went over to spend a weekend at his mom's. And it's his first time he'd ever seen it.
Oh, okay.
And he was so upset when the couple got killed, when he gets his face crushed in the shower, and then she gets the axe through the door into the chest. He's like, Dad, they were so sweet. And they were just kind of coming together. I was like, yep. I was like, that's good character writing, man, and that's good character portrayal.
Yeah.
He was really upset about it. He was like, oh man, that sucks. But he ended up liking it. That's his favorite Friday now. Is part 4.
All right, good choice, boy.
So, oh yeah, he's got some damn good taste. That kid does. All right. You see here, favorite Tommy.
I'm going John Shepard. He was my favorite Tommy. He still is my favorite Tommy. Feldman is good, but I like John Shepard is because he does a lot with very little. He's body language. He literally has like maybe 4 or 5 lines throughout the whole movie.
He's limited to being batshit crazy and making you believe it and having a character arc.
And that's what I like about him. Is you believe the trauma. Like Feldman was good. Feldman, and as a child, Feldman was a fantastic actor. But he was, in my opinion, I didn't think he was here nor there. Not great, not awful. Tom Matthews, I thought was just okay. Yeah. I think now this is just my opinion. I think a lot of people pick Tom Matthews.
I'm prejudiced because I like Tom.
And I know that's why I'm not trashing him, but I think a lot of people prefer him because they prefer Jason Lives the most. I think that's why. I think it's his association.
Because around the same time he's in Return of the Living Dead, that helped too.
I think that helped too. But with John Shepard, it's like I believed that Tommy went through the trauma. He was dangerous when he beat the shit out of two people. The one guy who was just poking at him, and he backdrops him through the fucking table. But when he kicks the shit out of Junior, you know what I mean? You believe that. And then I liked how he opened up a little bit towards the end because he had to save Pam. He had to help save Reggie. He faced his fear. Right. And I still believed at the end that look when he holds up that mask, you know, after he has the dream, when he holds up that mask and then he just looks at Pam, or he looks down the hallway because Pam's going to come in. It's just, again, less is more. And I thought John Shepard just fucking brought it.
Ninja's trying to get me started on Trent, man. Ninja's talking about the remake and the boobs. Dude,
the perfect
stupendous.
You know, the perfect, you got perfect nipple placement.
He literally says, dude, your tits are stupendous. Right in the middle of the hottest part of it. It's like,
I already hated the guy enough as it was, but now I'm just like,
I loved his ending though, didn't you? When he gets killed and stuck on the back of the truck.
He's got a fantastic death, but the problem is he's on screen for so much. Just kind of not. I don't. Let me use an example. Melissa from Part 7. She's such a bitch. She's such a bitch, but she's not obscenely bad. Trent is like obscenely awful.
Yeah.
And when Melissa gets it, that's like, yes, fucking finally. And he tosses her on the fucking TV. In the remake, he has a good death, but I'm just like, what took so fucking long? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because Melissa is not a bitch every time she's on screen. You know what I mean? She is, but it's not cranked up to 11. Every time this fucker is
jealous because she likes the dude too, and that's why she hates the girl next door because she's after that guy.
Yeah, but when Trent's on it, it's just like every time he's got to be a douchebag. Anything he says, he treats his friends like fucking shit. You know what I mean? Well, if you didn't want your friends wrecking your dad's stuff, why the fuck did you invite them? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you obviously knew what they do, and you know what I mean. And anybody that's gonna leave this fucker on this fire for that fucking long and then put it up to their lips, you obviously know what you're gonna get when they show up to the party.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's see what we got here. Ninja says Part 2. Gaslar, hey Gaslar.
Hey.
Once again, in case I didn't say hello. Hey guys, don't forget to give a thumbs up, please. That way I can torment the earth.
Already ahead of you, buddy.
Weak final girl, the girl from Part 3. Yeah. Chris was a weak final girl. A weak actress.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought Dana Kimball was not exactly.
Especially when it shows like when she's giving that awful story about when Jason attacked her in the woods. I roll my eyes, and then when she's getting taken away to, you know, she's gone crazy. It's just so over the top and laughable when she's laughing in the back of the cop car. So,
well, yeah, when she's sitting there and she's telling the story about what happened, and the lights go on, she's like, you know, she just jumps right there. What was that? You know what I mean? And it's like, that was so. My mom used to cringe when that part when she like, what was that? My mom was like, God, she's awful.
I think Dana Kimmel was hired just on her looks, not her ability, to be honest.
First thing I ever seen her in, she was a cousin to Blair in Facts of Life.
Oh wow.
Or something like that. It's cousin or a best friend, you know what I mean? Because Blair was rich. She was one of her rich friends from New York. She showed up in her fur coat and all this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's Dana Kimball. Hate that the grandfather got killed in Part 5. Yeah,
he was fun. I liked him.
Yeah. That had some interesting, different characters in it too, man. I mean, it interesting made it. You know, it immediately made it interesting, considering that it was surrounded around a house for disturbed and just used that have had a lot of problems.
Yeah, it's a house to like. It's to teach them how to like re-enter society after trauma or drug use or sex addiction and all that stuff. And everyone was different. Joey, he was a little slow. Violet, you can tell Violet was a drug user. She was a space case. You had the one guy who had the stuttering problem, so I'm sure he probably had an incident out in public because of that. Fucking Vic chopped up the motherfucker, you know, Joey. So he obviously had his problems. And then you had, you know, Tommy with his. So everyone was different. You know what I mean? They weren't all cookie cutter. They were all different. That's what I liked about it.
they were the strong part of it. I thought the leads, the main dude and the final girl, were the weak parts of that movie, where the kids were the strong parts.
I even and you know, like I don't know if you know this about me personally, but I'm not big on child actors. I thought Shavar Ross as Reggie, the Reckless, he was fine. You know what I mean? He wasn't annoying. He wasn't, over the top. He was fine. And plus, Part 5 had Miguel Nunez as Demon, and I will watch anything with Miguel Nunez, whether it's Return of the Living Dead, A New Beginning. I'll watch Leprechaun 4 because Miguel Nunez is in it. You know what I mean? Black Dynamite. Joanna Man. I am not the type of guy to watch a movie like Joanna Man, but I watched it because Miguel Nunez is in it, and he makes every movie memorable.
To me, he is one of 3 X factors, or I don't know. Return of the Living Dead is loaded. You know how I always talk about the X factor.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's always an X factor to every show or every movie that takes it from being good to great.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think Return of the Living Dead has got several of them, and he's definitely one of them.
Oh yeah.
Movie could not be the same without,
That dude's got charisma, and Return of the Living Dead and this came out both the same year.
Yeah.
So.
And not, and you talk about Shavar, the reason he wasn't so annoying is it could be because he was so experienced. Remember,
mm-hmm.
he
had
strokes. He had already been on different strokes.
Mm-hmm.
As almost best friend.
Yep.
So kind of like Ricardo Montalban, or not Montalban, Ricardo Ribeiro, how he was in Silver Spoons.
Oh yeah, and then he went to be on Fresh Prince. Yeah. And it would have been neat. I guess they were going to bring Reggie back for Part 6, but I guess his dad was his agent. They found out they were going to kill him off early on, and Dad was like, "No, you're not going to be in it."
Thanks for coming through, Todd. Appreciate it.
Hey, Todd.
You just saying hello to Todd. Very cool. All right, let's get this next one. See if we can get here on this next one here. Okay, my favorite Tommy, of course, as I was saying, is Tom Matthews, and I think that just leads back to, I may be biased, but
That's okay.
I do like Tom. And he has carried it on throughout the you know what I mean, you got him in fan film.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I go back and forth on fan films. I understand they're making them because I hate to say, when's the next time we're going to get an actual Friday the 13th movie? It's kind of keeping Jason in the public eye, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of them they're pretty hit and miss. Some are good, but they did release. I haven't watched it yet. They did release the first 5 minutes of Never Hike Alone 2. I've seen some clips, and Tom Matthews is returning in that.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, now we did our favorite characters.
Okay.
Now, what is the best acted all around Friday the 13th?
Oh, Jesus Christ! Best acted all around.
Top to bottom.
That's tough. That's tough.
See what the chat thinks. Chat, what in your opinion, what is the best acted all around? Like you believe at least 9 out of 10 people in the movie. The best cast one.
I'm gonna throw you a curveball. I'm gonna say Goes to Hell because the actors do what is required for the characters. You have Joey B, the big girl in the diner. She's supposed to be this loud, obnoxious person. You have their son, who is kind of simple-minded. You have the husband, who is this little Leslie Jordan. Rest in peace. Love that guy. He's supposed to be the opposite of her. Steven is that likable hero. Creighton Duke is one of the coolest fucking characters in the franchise, in my opinion. Then you have like the reporter, Robert Campbell. And what I like, he plays a perfect scuzzbag. You know what I mean? So, and then, the campers are likable, stuff like that. If we're doing that and how the actors are supposed to serve the purpose of the characters, I'm going to go with Goes to Hell. Regardless of what people think of the movie in a whole, we're talking about acting-wise, I'm going with that.
I already gave mine away earlier. Mine is Part 4. I think the top and bottom is the best acted. Now, on the other side of the coin of that, I think the worst acted except for one character, and that's the psychiatrist, is Part 7. I think that is all around the worst acted and worst character. You got a lot of shitty actors in it. In that thing. But the Doctor is he's that guy. He's a lot of bit roles everywhere, and he does. I can't remember his freaking name.
Bad News Cruz. I know that he's Dr. Cruz. It's Terry something. He was Bernie in Weekend at Bernie's. I know that.
Yes.
But if we're going worse acted, ooh, that's easy for me. Is Jason X. Jason X. I think a lot of it has to do with the dialogue, but I just think they really picked kind of bottom of the barrel. Other than, it's cool seeing Cronenberg, not going to lie, but I don't really like any of the performances from any of them. The only good performance, I think, is Cronenberg and the final girl. That's it.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Yeah,
I think everyone else is.
Again.
I think. She does a lot of TV. Oh, she was in season 1 of that Chucky TV series.
Really?
That came out. Yeah, she was. I liked season 1. Season 2 is okay, but she is married to Devon Sawa's character in season 1, and she's good in that.
Okay.
But I think the rest of the characters are it's just so fucking poorly acted. Everyone all around the bend. Oh, okay, except for maybe Sergeant Brodsky, the lead Marine. He was good too, but it's just I cringe a lot of time at the acting with Jason X.
Yeah. For me, it's part 7. It's just something about part 7 has got. I mean, I like it. I like the idea. Against a lot of what other people think, they didn't like the Terry thing versus Jason. I liked that part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like their casting choices for the most part, but I did like their casting of that Doctor because he's always good no matter what he does.
I'm gonna look at the name.
It is Terry Kaiser.
That's it. Maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's always good. I remember he was in an episode of Three's Company. And they thought that it's once Jack finally started getting to work in the restaurant with Felipe, and he gets the job because he said his name is David Miller. I don't know if you remember that. He lies, says his name is David Miller. Well, it turns out David Miller is hated by everybody, and everybody wants to kill him and everything else. Well, this guy wants to kill him. He comes, so they fake his death, and this guy, to make sure Jack is dead, goes to the funeral. So they managed to bribe somebody. I don't know how it goes, but he ends up in the coffin there, and he's going there, and he's like, "Well, maybe I pushed the guy too far," and his flowers come up there, and I guess Jack was allergic to him or something. But you know what I mean? He just someone asked Furley. Mr. Furley doesn't know that it's a put on. He thinks Jack's actually dead. He comes in and he goes, "Oh my God, so young. He barely started living. What happened to him?" And Chrissy steps up and goes, "It was his heart. God forgot to wind it." And,
oh God!
And Furley's like, "What?" And the guy Terry Kaiser looks over and goes, "It was his heart. God forgot to wind it." It's just looking bad. I used to just love those, man. He was really cool.
Yeah, I loved Three's Company. A lot of Friday the 13th people were on TV. Amy Steele, I remember seeing her on an episode. She was a girlfriend of Alex on Family Ties.
Yep, Michael J. Fox, absolutely, yes.
Yep.
Ninja says, I felt that the acting Jason X was really tongue-in-cheek and self-aware. Yeah.
I get that, and the movie itself is very self-aware. I just think the performance is just too cringy for me. And don't get me wrong, I have fun with Jason X, but if we're talking acting, nah.
As far as the fun meter, it is pretty high though. Yeah,
absolutely.
All right, now we're getting into some important ones here. We're getting into the four top ones.
Okay.
Your favorite Friday the 13th film?
This is why I kept myself quiet when you said it was the only one you didn't like. My favorite is Jason Goes to Hell. Because regardless of what people say that it's not a Friday the 13th film, because it's so different, I have so much fun with that movie from beginning to end. I love the characters. I love the gore. This is a Jason movie that has a fucking shootout in a fast food diner, a greasy spoon. I love the Creighton Duke character. The comedy, I think, works. The gore.
You like that muscle? You like that macho muscle flexing type shit too? Which that dude has a lot of it. He's got that hat and everything, and he really comes off like a dude.
He's just cooler than shit You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you love that shit. Yeah.
I do. I love that type of bounty hunter. You know, he is a bounty hunter. I love the mysterious bounty hunter characters. There's some good comedy to it. It's just fun from beginning to end. I understand why people wouldn't like it, but I love it. You know what I mean? And I will say this, you know, a lot of people just use the I never got how people would say they hate it because Jason isn't in it. He technically is, but I get they want to see him, you know, in full garb and everything. I'll say this: he's in Jason Goes to Hell a lot more than he is in A New Beginning. And people who hate Jason Goes to Hell, a lot of people who hate Jason Goes to Hell because there's no Jason in it, love A New Beginning, and
Right.
that makes no fucking sense because he's not in A New Beginning at all. That sequence in the very beginning is a dream, so it doesn't count.
Well, I knew when the dude that played Duke from Rocky Five was becoming Jason, and he had that big Jason worm in him and all this. I knew he was definitely going another direction.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
George Washington Duke.
Yeah. Only in America.
Touch me, I'll sue.
Touch me, I'll sue me for what?
Yeah. Touch me, I'll sue. Yeah, punk. Touch me, I'll sue.
Oh, he was the best Don King. He was so good.
Yeah.
Richard Gan's amazing.
Well, of course, everybody knows what mine is. Mine is part 2. We're checking it out tonight, and I will be there definitely with bells on.
Yep, can't wait.
I got so much, you know. I mean, the best Friday film, not necessarily your favorite, the best made Friday film.
The best made Friday film, in my opinion, is The Final Chapter. Mm-hmm. And that's why when we were talking in private messages, I said that's why I think we should have a different category. There's favorite, but then there's also best made, because as much as I love Jason Goes to Hell, there's plenty of faults to it. You know what I mean? I think the best made is The Final Chapter. The cast, the look. You feel like you're in that. I love the look of the two cabins, especially the Jarvis cabin. I love the family. I love Ted White. He's my favorite Jason. The kills are great. The music is great. The ending is great.
It's almost a perfect slasher. It was almost a perfect horror slasher, man. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
Ninja says part 6 for me. I could watch 6, 7, and X as a trilogy, like 2, 3, and 4.
Mm-hmm.
Todd says Jason Goes to Hell was more ambitious than most other Friday the 13th films. I love the beginning when Jason walks into the FBI's trap. However, the film lost its way halfway through.
I can respect that. But I will say this. I did like that. I liked how in Jason Goes to Hell, they made it, you know, finally someone's acknowledging who the fuck is killing all these people over these years. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I liked how, okay, Jason is really killing these people. You know, something's happening from
that way, man. It took a lot of balls to go that way rather than just go back to the same formula.
And then I loved how, because I love Joey B. I love the family in the restaurant, Joey B and Shelby. I love how, what does she try to do? It's perfect capitalism, perfect marketism. Jason's dead 2-for-1 burger sale. And what I love about that, because it's fast food, they're hockey mask patties. So what she's doing, she's pulling the extra meat out to make a whole new patty. So she's making money by giving the consumer less. And that's just a fun fucking joke.
Profit, you know? Yeah. I agree. Part 4 is the most well made.
Yep.
We got 2 left, and then a little bit of discussion if you want.
Sure.
Now, a lot of people. Now, something I noticed in the rise behind the mask, Eliza Leslie Vernon is, and I forgot about it. She hasn't always been called the Flannel Girl. She used to be called the Survivor Girl. So now I call them Survivor Girl. I insist. I will not refer to her as Flannel Girl anymore. Anytime I do, I want somebody to say, "You said you weren't going to say that."
I'll keep it to it. I'll hold you to it.
Favorite Survivor Girl.
Ginny.
So you already know mine.
Yep.
And my favorite performance as the Survivor Girl too.
She's one of the best characters overall. Yeah, she's likable. She's likable. She's girl next door. She's mischievous. You can tell she's got that side to her. She's smart. You know,
she really cares. They're sitting at Barbarossa's party, and man, and she's sitting there like, you know, how terrible it must have been for him for all those years, and then to see his mom get beheaded right in front of him,
Yep.
and then you know what I mean.
Well,
And
because
there he was, a man trapped into, or a child trapped inside of a man's
body.
hideous body. You know what I mean?
Well,
and
and
she
that's
cares.
and you liked it because she said she was like child psychology. She either graduated or she was studying for it. So she liked kids. So she felt for him.
Yeah, the
So
only
that's
one
what made that scene in the bar believable. And like I said, and then Amy Steele's performance. I'll tell you what. We'll get into it when we do our little watch along. But that whole chase scene, that 10, 15-minute chase scene is truly terrifying.
Yes.
It's truly terrifying. And a lot of it has to do with, who doesn't love a crazy redneck, the crazy hillbilly, and he's the overalls and the look. Jason's running. Because remember, youngsters, Jason did run. You know what I mean? He did run. And he's so terrifying in that. And then the way she responds to him is so good.
Herself.
Yeah, she pissed herself. She's so scared. And she still had the guts. Like when she looked, she knew what she was going to do. When she put that sweater on, remember, she also gets down in front of the head. She gets her hair just like it. You know what I mean? She wants to trick him so she looks exactly like Mother. So yeah, Ginny, 100%.
Which was taken off of and used again in Humongous.
Yeah.
There she is.
Yep. Yeah, she was so good. Definitely the best. Survivor girl.
Oh, here's we talked about her earlier. There's Megan.
Yep.
But yes, Survivor girl, and I like that a lot better, man. For some reason.
Mm. It's more powerful. It sounds stronger. Yeah, it sounds a lot stronger. You know what I mean?
And when the rules changed, when Scream came in, and they decided there was rules to all these, which people don't realize there wasn't prior to that. There was no rule. Mm-hmm. It was if you got laid or if you smoked, you definitely got killed. That wasn't a part of the vocabulary. That didn't happen. It evolved.
Well, you look at Alice. She smoked a joint. She survived. You can do drugs and get laid and survive.
I with Annie on the way to babysit.
Yeah.
Even supposedly the most pristine, you know what I mean, naive, innocent final girl of them all was getting high on the way to babysit.
Yep.
So all right. Now I think this is a really I love this question.
Okay.
The best actor or actress of the entire series, one person.
Like in that role or of all time?
In the role.
Oh. Well, there's best and then there's favorite for me.
Okay.
My favorite is Crispin Glover. My favorite actor is Crispin Glover, and my love for the Crispin Glover.
He's going to the song. No way. Yeah.
The man beats to the tune of his own fucking drum. Has been doing it ever since, and he is one of my favorite actors. But if we're talking about best, he's still going strong. I gotta go with Kevin Bacon. Gotta go with Kevin Bacon because the man can do anything.
Yeah.
In my opinion, the man can do anything.
But was he in that film?
Oh, in that film.
In a Friday film.
In a Friday. Okay, that's different. Because now he was just typical.
Mine's Betsy Palmer. She the best performance of the entire series.
Yeah, I'd have to say that too because, like I said, she's just so menacing. She's so scary. She does, and she believes what she's doing.
Right.
And she does, and when she just flips that switch in between Jason and Mommy.
Yes, and she bounces back and forth several times, and even the parts that they stick in there for when he's seeing her and not Jenny when she's acting like she's Pamela.
Mm-hmm.
Even those little parts, those little extra parts that they stuck in and filmed for her. Jason, Mother is talking to you.
Mm-hmm. Jason, Mother is, and in part 2 when she's back, she does really good too. So yeah, going with Betsy Palmer.
Jason, Mother is talking
to you. She's getting stern with him.
And then grin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
almost put you in mind of Margaret White. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That we talked about. You know, still in the chat. Part
Hey,
five is
John.
my favorite, and yes, I know it's not the
Yeah, we can.
absolutely.
Hey,
I enjoy part five.
John,
Definitely.
me and my buddy, I just uploaded our review on part 5 a couple hours ago, and we praised it. Yeah, we love part 5. You know what? If I only had a sign right now, fuck you, right?
Yeah,
Rough,
I
rough.
had seen her get it earlier, and my son was watching that, you know, and she squeezes the banana and it's in her mouth.
Yeah,
My son was like, "Why did Jason kill her?" I said, "I don't know, man. Maybe
maybe
he
he's
was
hung.
just oh, by the way she was eating that banana. Who
Yeah,
knows?"
maybe maybe he thought she was too vulgar. Hey, honey, you got a sister?
Yeah, yeah. Woof woof.
Woof woof. Or what was it say? Like Mexico or love or some bullshit. What the front of it said. And the funny thing is about that hitchhiker character. I'll say this: is she's been on the road for many times and she's been turned down as a hitchhiker many times because she had "fuck you" on the back of it.
Right, right. And she just had this disposition about her. She just like,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, I can't wait to pick you up. You know what I mean? It's like for every reason I can possibly think of, I don't want to pick you up.
Right.
You give me zero reasons to want to pick you up and stick you in my vehicle.
Yep.
John's laughing his fucking ass.
Yeah.
What's up, Stu? How you doing, man?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the end of those. Yeah, man. When I was thinking about title for it, you know, what I mean, and as you know, I'm with you several different things, thinking about
Mm-hmm.
it, what I should call it, and what we should talk about. And then you said, well, let's just kind of keep it, easy and just,
Mm-hmm.
well, I'll at least write down a few questions here. But when I came to saying, I thought it was a good title, Friday the 13th, the best horror franchise ever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also a big fan of the Alien franchise, which is a sci-fi.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not big on 4. I'm not big on the Alien Resurrection or
Resurrection. Yeah.
um, it has some good things in it, like the swimming aliens. I thought that was
Mm-hmm.
cool. Um, 3 has a lot more positives than what I hear a lot of people say.
I love 3.
Three's got a lot of good things to it, and I love Prometheus and Covenant. I
No,
mean,
I've never seen Covenant. I'm going to. I just never got around to it. I loved Prometheus. I thought it was so good. And what I'll say this about Prometheus: my wife, she likes the alien movies, but she's not into that type of science fiction that Prometheus was. She sat down, she watched, and she really liked it too.
it was
I
so
thought it was.
ambitious, man. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean?
It
It
was
took a lot of
damn
balls
good.
to do that. Like the first year or two it was out, I didn't see it at the theater because I didn't know it was an alien movie.
Right.
I didn't realize it was an alien movie until it was on HBO or whatever for a little bit. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's an alien prequel? And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, wait, check it out. First thing I seen had Michael Fassbender, and he was
Yep.
playing that David character, and I was like, oh, hell yeah.
Oh, Fassbender's always awesome.
Oh, hell yeah. And then they top it with Covenant. He plays 2 characters like that.
Okay.
He's not just David, he's also Walter, which is an upgraded model. So he's
Okay.
David and Walter, and they're both androids. So you get 2 of them in that one,
Mm-hmm.
which is very, very cool. But yeah, I fought with that one. The Halloween franchise was never in contention because they
No.
screwed too much up.
Nope.
Friday the 13th was never in contention. And when I looked at it, when I looked at franchises as a whole, it came down to either that or Friday the 13th. And I had to say Friday the 13th is the most fun, most consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Like my
I
son
think.
said, you know what you're going to get
Yes.
with a Friday the 13th movie.
You're going into a Friday the 13th movie expecting blood, guts, boobs, your typical fun slasher schlock, and they deliver every time. Even in like I said, there is not one Friday the 13th movie I don't enjoy in one way or another. My worst one is the remake. I don't like any of the characters. I fucking hate the characters. But Derek Mears was a great Jason.
The Jason is good,
So
man.
I cannot say I hate that movie because the Jason is so good.
Unfortunately, they had to taint it with a bunch of not necessarily bad actors, but just characters that I wouldn't want to be around them in somebody else's body. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing. I kind of shit on Jason X because of the acting, you know what I mean? But it's not the best script, you know what I mean? They can only do what they can do with the dialogue they're given. But the problem is they're not unlikable characters, they just have shitty dialogue. I loathe the characters in the remake. I want to
Every
turn
single
the
one of them is a
I
fucking
want
jerk one way or another.
the only one that's good is the dude from fucking Supernatural who's looking for his sister. You know what
Right.
I mean? But he doesn't do much in the movie. We got to focus on these cocksuckers over here that I want to turn the channel. I literally want to turn the movie off.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I don't like them. That's how, we haven't even talked Freddy versus Jason. That's
Oh,
another problem I have with that. When it's actually fucking Freddy versus Jason, I'm having a blast. When we're
yeah.
following everyone else, I don't care because I don't like any of them.
Like the chick from the girl group. What's with Beyonce in it?
Kelly Rowland from Destiny's Child.
Yeah, she is she is just so unlikable. She got such a mouth, and you just can't wait.
None
You
of
see
them are
Freddy coming
likable.
after her, you know what I mean? And she's so mouthy. She's saying shit that it wouldn't make sense for her to say.
Right.
She wouldn't be standing there talking that shit to Freddy.
Right.
There's no way. I don't give a shit. She wouldn't be doing it. So
Yeah.
I was happy when Jason nailed her and slapped her ass against the tree.
And that's a cheer moment. You know what I mean? Because
yes.
Freddy knows. He sees Jason and she's like, "Oh, you're the one they're all afraid of," and he goes, "You know what I mean?" And then she calls him. I'm not going to say it and get you in trouble, but she calls him the F word. This and that, and she talks about the small blades compensating for a little dick and stuff like that. But Freddy she's just like, look over there. And Jason swipes around. Thank fucking Christ. You know what I mean?
Right.
But when it is Freddy versus Jason, when those two fights make it so much fun.
Yeah. Too bad Kane Hodder didn't get to do it. That's the only reason that Robert Englund signed on, is because he was under the understanding that Kane Hodder was going to be playing Jason.
Yeah.
And he was already signed in. And when he found out that it wasn't going to be Kane, he was kind of already, because it was like a gentleman's agreement. Yeah, Kane is going to be playing Jason. Yeah. But Kane wanted too much money, God forbid.
Is that what it was?
And I seriously doubt that I'm seriously doubt that it was that bad. They just didn't want to cough up enough, so they got an unknown to play him. So that they could be the bottom.
Yeah, they got Ken Kersinger, who is in Takes Manhattan. And he was Kane's stunt double for one scene in Takes Manhattan. He's the cook that gets thrown into the mirror in Takes Manhattan. And he did double for Kane when Jason gets hit by the car. That's Ken taking the bump.
Todd says, I agree, Gore. The Alien franchise has a great record. I think more people agree than what they choose to admit to. It's just become a cool thing to say that they blah blah blah, Prometheus, all of them suck. I think it's just become cool to say that. I don't think as many people agree with that as they act like.
You know me, I've always said that, like, it's just the in thing in a lot of the horror community to shit on Rob Zombie because everyone wants to fucking do it. It's a lot. For the longest time, it was the in thing to shit on A New Beginning. And, Mr. Steele, he's in here. That's his favorite one. Like I said, I just uploaded my video today. We found a lot of positives in that one. There was so much that we didn't even cover in our video because there's so much good in that one. And it was just the cool thing to just shit on it. And just make your own fucking opinion. Who cares?
Friday Part 5, The Exorcist 3. I could go on and on and on of movies that were shit on for years and years and years. Night of the Creeps, until all of a sudden it became cool to like them again.
Dude,
and now everybody's like, "Oh, it's a great film. It's one of the greatest ever made."
Dude,
the same people, I bet you, a lot of those same people, I bet you, back in the day, were talking about what garbage.
Dude, I've loved Halloween 3 since I've seen it.
Halloween 3,
and now it's getting an audience. Now it's cool. I just roll my eyes now because I know for a fact this fucker hated it 6 months ago. You know what I mean? Stop it.
Yeah.
So
probably, or you see where he owns it and showing off the collection and it's still in the plastic.
Yeah. Yeah. I hate this movie, but I have like 5 copies of it.
Yeah.
I hate Halloween 5. I hate Halloween 5. I own a copy of it just as a collectionist. You know what I mean? I'll watch it if my wife wants to do a marathon. But I'm not going to fucking upgrade it to Blu-ray, or I'm not going to spend any fucking more money on that movie. I found it for like $3 on eBay. I didn't feel ripped off. You know what I mean?
Awesome saying hello, Eric.
Oh, hey. Awesome. Welcome.
What's up, Awesome? Thanks for coming by, man. Appreciate it. Steele says part 5 to me holds weight because it's similar to Nightmare on Elm Street 3, which is my favorite all-time horror.
I could see that with the troubled kids. We kind of, and the thing is, in our video, I never realized this. 4, 5, and 6 are kind of like Halloween 2, 3, and 4.
Right.
He's killed. The next one, there's no killer. There's no Michael, no Jason. The next one, he's brought back because of fan outrage. I never really realized it until Alex brought it up. Halloween 2, Michael's blown to shit. Halloween 3, no Michael, fans hate it. Halloween 4, he's brought back. Final chapter, Jason's killed. No Jason in part 5. Fucking Frankenstein monster in part 6. You know what I mean? So
right.
I never really realized that until we did that video.
Yeah. Huh.
But I've always had a soft spot for 5 for me. Sometimes I like what I like to call, and no disrespect to John, is fun trash, and I think it's fun trash to me. You got the over the top sex, you got the over the top violence. It had like the most deaths, I think, until Jason X, and it was like I said, and then like the Tommy character. The only thing I can't fucking stand about part 5 is Junior. I love me some Ethel. I fucking hate Junior with a passion because you
tell him this guy is such a pig, man.
You're gonna kill him, Mama. Tell you can kill him and chop him up. Shut the fuck up. Get in here and eat your stew. And she was making fucking stew in a pot that was like a wash bin. You know what I mean? Yeah, I know. Hillbillies would go take a bath in. And it's just her skinny ass and Junior. How the fuck are those two gonna eat? That's
like Mama Otter's wash tub. It was like Mama Otter's wash tub.
Exactly. And then Jesus Christ, there's so much fun in that. Again, we talked to Miguel Nunez. How much fucking food did that guy have? He's offering Reggie the Reckless enchiladas. You want a slice of pizza? You want a taco? You want this? You want some chicken? He's got so much food in there. You know what I mean? I'm sure it's because he's fucking high and he's got the munchies.
Hell yeah,
but I'm just like, Jesus Christ. Hey Pam, you want a taco? Yeah, he's so much fun.
Yeah, you tell him, Mama. Will you shut the fuck
up? or God, where like John says that he's
my mom in a way.
When she's like doing the hi-ya chop to the chicken, and he's in there eating fucking cereal in a wooden bowl and that big fucking wooden spoon, and he's just slurping it up, and he's like, oh man.
A lot of that same type of aspect goes on, with how messy and how sloppy and how nasty they are. It's kind of like that in Mother's Day too.
Is it? Okay.
You got a lot of that going on there.
I mean, she even fucking spits in his stew, when he's riding around on the bike outside. Yeah.
Shit, man, it is 11 o'clock. We got a watch party come up in 35 minutes.
Well, shit, then I guess we better end this, dude.
Yeah. Get a but shit, I could talk for another hour about it.
Yeah, so could we. Or so could I.
Just like usual, we'll have to find another we'll do part 2 next year on it.
Sure.
But yeah, guys, and Trick or Treat just joined us. Hey, come back in a half an hour right here on the same Gore channel. In about half hour at 11:35, we'll be kicking it off. Myself and Eric are going to be doing a watch party / discussion / commentary on my favorite Friday the 13th, my favorite Friday the 13th girl, my favorite Jason, the Hood, everything. In 35 minutes, come back here. We're doing that watch party. All you guys are welcome to join us, and we'll be right back. That is Eric. I am Gorephobe. You guys are not. I'll see you in a few minutes.
Cheers.
Get you in a few, man.